Good morning, my name's Alice and I work for Lancashire South Cumbria Foundation Trust. Today I'd like to show you a day in the life of a children's community learning disability nurse and how we improve the health and the lives of children with learning disabilities. I leave the house at 8:30 to get into work for 9 o'clock. I work in a really great team of knowledgeable professionals. I work with learning disability nurses, nursery nurses, occupational therapists and doctors. I really love coming into work, I really do love my job. I've got a lot organised today, but not every day goes to plan. We'll see how today goes. So get into the office at 9 o'clock and open my laptop, check my emails. Some days we have a check-in with the rest of the team, so we have one base but we also work closely with some other bases. So we check in, see where people are going to be, see if we need to buddy up if anyone has any late visits in the evening. And then we've got different meetings that are via Teams or in person, and then finish off the day at 5 o'clock usually. The role of a community learning disability nurse is very varied. Every day is very different, so primarily we work with children up to the age of 18 with a learning disability. So we do one-to-one work directly with children, we do one-to-one work with parents and families and carers. We run a lot of groups as well, so we support around things like behaviour, sensory needs, sleep difficulties, and then we work closely with different members of our team, so psychology, occupational therapy, psychiatry. The child that we're joint working with is coming into the clinic later, so I just thought I'd go through what we'll be looking at in the booklet this week.
Sure. So
last week we looked at what he's good at, what he finds a little bit more difficult, and this week we're looking at a bit more about his diagnosis of autism and what that means. I'm meeting now with Dr. Jess, who's one of the speciality doctors in learning disability child psychiatry. As a learning disability nurse, we closely work with our psychiatry colleagues for support around joint cases that we're working with, and also seeking guidance and support around any complex cases that we might have. And once we've completed this piece of work, we can share it with mum and school as well, so they all understand this child a little bit more as well.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that it is a really valued profession from a psychiatrist point of view. As I said, I can't function without our nurses, and actually, although my main role is prescribing medication, for the young people that I'm looking after, the most important thing to them is not the psychiatrist, it's the nurse that is going to meet the majority of their needs. And yeah, I can't say enough. I'm a man with a prescribing pad otherwise, and it's really helpful to have a dedicated nursing team who is interested in the young people or the adults that we're looking after.
So that's one part of our job, but we also hold the autism assessment pathway, so we complete observations, score up questionnaires, do developmental histories with families. So every day is very different. We also run a service for children under the age of 5 that are on the autism assessment pathway, and we run a behaviour workshop, a sleep workshop, an understanding autism workshop and a toileting workshop. So yeah, we're very varied day to day.
Hello?
Hi, it's Alice from the Learning Disability team. You okay?
Hiya, you alright?
Good, thanks. I've just been on the phone to a parent, so I'm working alongside this family. So she has some children with learning disabilities and autism, and I'm supporting around sleep at the minute. So these children have a bit of a disrupted sleep pattern, so I'm going to provide an assessment, analyse some sleep diaries and create a bespoke sleep plan so that, you know, we can hopefully have these children getting a bit more of a better night's sleep.
3 nights have been alright, but before that it was 3-4 in the morning when we go to sleep.
Right, okay. We often organise visits, but they don't always go to plan depending on the kind of needs of the family, or, you know, children are off school with the school holidays at the minute, so we have to kind of take that into consideration, and obviously that liaising with schools can't happen for this 6-week period, so we tend to focus more at the minute around updating care plans and doing assessments within the home that we wouldn't usually be able to do when the children are at school. So I was thinking Wednesday the 30th at about 3.
Yeah, perfect.
Brill, all right, well I'll see you then.
Yeah, brilliant,
Thanks
you.
a lot, bye-bye.
Bye, bye.
Hi Justine, have you got a few minutes to go through a case case around some sensory needs?
Yeah, I've got time now.
Yeah.
Go come and sit down.
Thank you. As a learning disability nurse, we often need to work quite creatively and think outside the box when we're supporting children and families. One example where we might need to do this is with toileting, so the child might be experiencing constipation. So I'm here with Justine, who's an occupational therapist, and we're going to have a little chat about how we might work together as a learning disability nurse and occupational therapist to support these children. So Justine, if you're able to explain your role as an occupational therapist and how we might work alongside each other.
Like yourselves, we are very holistic and we have to think outside the box, particularly with the clinical population that we work with. I think that I enhance what learning disability nurses do, and what I can add is the posture, environment, motor movement, motor planning, sort of assessments and guidance and intervention, and the sensory needs as well of the young people that we work with. I think potentially we need to be looking at food intake, so what she's eating. Also maybe consider doing some diaries of her bowels, so some poo diaries would be really helpful.
So I know as a learning disability nursing team we found it really interesting learning about interoception, so how our brains tell us what our body's feeling, so when we need to use a toilet, when we're feeling like we're in pain, when we're feeling hot or cold, and we've learnt all of that knowledge through support and guidance from occupational therapy.
So I think, yeah, if we start gathering that information, that might inform what additional information we may need as well.
As a learning disability nurse, we have monthly supervisions with a senior colleague to discuss any cases that we might be having difficulties with. We also discuss more managerial things such as annual leave, any holidays, any training opportunities that we'd like. We always discuss well-being. So Leah, how would you say your well-being's been within the last month since we last met?
I think since the last supervision, it's definitely been good. I mean, I really appreciate the check-ins that we have. We have at least 2 a week, and it's really good sort of making sure staff are doing okay, they're not struggling with any sort of workloads or anything. And I think the team is really supportive in making sure everyone's well-being is great.
Brilliant. And your training, is that all up to date, and is there any courses that you're due to go on anytime soon?
So I've double checked the training portal and I'm all up to date with sort of the mandatory training. I haven't come across any other further training as of yet, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of opportunities that'll pop up.
I think my favourite thing again is that variety day to day, so working with lots of different children, lots of different families, lots of different assessments, and supporting with that wide variety of difficulties, so sleep, sensory, behaviour. There's a lot of different things that we do day to day that makes it exciting. When I was doing my training, there was a lot of talk around there's no jobs within learning disability nursing. There was also people saying that you won't get a job in the community in your first role. However, I do think that's changed now. Everyone within my cohort got jobs straight away in the areas that they wanted to work in, and I was lucky enough to get a job within the community from qualifying. So my last appointment of the day is with a child, and we're going to be talking about his understanding of his autism diagnosis. Unfortunately, you're not able to come in because it's confidential, but I'll catch up with you afterwards. Well, I started my job as a Band 5 community nurse, and I was lucky enough to secure a Band 6 senior community learning disability nurse role a couple of years ago. And after that, there's the chance to either progress into a more clinical role or more managerial role. I think I see myself working more clinically, so the kind of line of progression would be a more senior community learning disability nurse and locality lead, and there's also further roles around advanced clinical practitioners. So we've just finished our session, it went really well. We talked about the things he might find easier because of his autism and some things that he might find a little bit more tricky because of his autism. One thing he shared is that he finds travelling on public transport easy because of his special interest in buses and trains. And one last thing is his mum shared her experience of working alongside a learning disability nursing team, and she explained that she found us to be very person-centred when working with her child. So that's it for today. Why don't you come and join us?